messages. Today we're going to look at the issue of total depravity, which was a doctrine that used to be preached on a regular basis and taught in many different ways in the church, back when the church was really evangelistic. And today we kind of get to the point where we really don't talk about it. In fact, it's very politically incorrect to talk about this doctrine in any shape, form. It goes against everything that our society has built itself on, and everything that our society has tried to teach us and to drive into our minds, from the way we conduct schools to the way we conduct various different things. Most of y'all know the story of the three little pigs that you grew up with as children. And just to remind yourselves, because it's gone through at least 3 changes, and this one's the most interesting one in my day and time. I mean, I remember as a child hearing about the 3 little pigs, and remember that in the story you had 3 pigs that went out to set out and build their lives and to start life out on their own. And the first little pig went and he built himself a house out of straw because it was easy to build and he could form it and made it. He made himself this nice house of straw. And then one day here came the big bad wolf. Remember that? And the big bad wolf came to the pig's house, the little straw house, and said, little pig, let me in. And the little pig said, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. And the little big bad wolf says, if you don't let me in, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. And the pig still refused. And so the big bad wolf, he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house in. If you remember in the old stories, he caught the little pig and had a pig roast. Remember that? The old version. Then he went on, later on, the second pig, he built his house out of sticks. And you remember, one day here came the big bad wolf. And the big bad wolf said to the pig, little pig, let me in. And the little pig said, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. And the big bad wolf said, well, in that case, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. And so eventually the wolf huffed and he puffed and he blew the house made of twigs in. And he caught the little pig and he had his second pig picking. Then you remember the third little pig. He went about building his house and he worked hard and he got bricks and mortar and built this house with brick and mortar. Built a little strong house with a chimney and everything in it. He built it. Well, one day the big bad wolf came. Big bad wolf said, little pig, let me in. And the pig said, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. The wolf said, well, if you don't, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house. And so the wolf huffs and he puffs and he blows and he huffs and he puffs and he blows and he huffs and he puffs and he blows until he finally loses all ability and realizes that he's unable to do it. Now, the version that I was told as a little kid, the wolf sat outside wondering, how can I get to this pig? And he saw the chimney there. He climbed up on the roof. Remember? And he goes down. Remember that old version? And he starts sliding down the roof, and the little pig realizes that the wolf is coming down, so he quickly sets up a little fire, puts a big pot in the fireplace, and the wolf comes sliding down, smashed into that big pot, and is boiled alive. The pig is saved. And then the moral of the story was about, being wise about building your house and being ready. Now, later on, I noticed that the version had changed to where you had the 3 pigs, and the little pig of the straw house escapes and runs to the house of the sticks. And then the way escape from the house of the sticks, and they go to the third pig's house, and the wolf chases them, and then he blows and gives up and leaves. And that was kind of another version. But this is the true version. In the true version, It's interesting. It's the true story of the three little pigs, and the title continues by A. Wolf, as told to John Schweitzka, illustrated by Lane Smith. And it's kind of interesting as you go through this one because it starts out that with Wolf telling his story, and he says, he was at his house making a cake for his grandmother, a birthday cake for his grandmother. And he had a real bad cold, but he was still making this cake for his grandmother, and he needed a cup of sugar. So he went out to borrow a cup of sugar from his neighbor, who was the little pig in the straw house. And he said that he said, "Gay, I need a little some sugar." And the little pig said, "No, I'm not going to give you any. I'm not going to let you in my house to get a little cup of sugar." And so the wolf was about to turn away in disappointment. He couldn't get his sugar. Well, about that time, he as it says, he says, "My nose began to itch, and I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I sniffled, and I sneezed a great sneeze, and blew the house in." And he says, lo and behold, as I looked there, in the middle of all the rubble was this dead pig. And as a wolf, I couldn't let good food go to waste. So he goes and so he eats that pig because he can't let good food go to waste. As you say here, it seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate it. Well, he still had a problem that he didn't have his cup of sugar. So he went to the next house. And this one just so happened was the one with the twigs. And he came and he rang the bell of the stick house, and nobody answered. And he called out, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And the Mr. Pig yelled back, "Go away, Wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." And he goes, "All right." So I just grabbed the doorknob, and I felt another sneeze coming on. And I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house felt just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. And so, now food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. And then he goes and he has this really long conversation with the pig in the brick house, and he talks about how rude he was and insulting to his grandmother and all this other type of stuff. Now, I've done these two stories to illustrate something. Notice what happened. In the first story, the same basic events are being retold. In the first story, he's the big, bad wolf. In the second story, he's just a neighbor looking for a cup of sugar. That's what's happened in a lot of our teaching. I remember that one day a man was commenting how in the old days, when somebody did an assassination, the only question was, did he do it? And if he did, they tried him and executed him. Nowadays, they go through all this psychological evaluation to understand why he did it, and then give him life in prison, and then he goes to the insane asylum and gets out after a few years. Difference in culture. What's going on?